time for us to look at the headlines across Nigerian newspapers. And I have my regulars on a Friday like this to make sense of all of this headlines we'll be looking at this morning. Sesan Okunade is here. Sesan, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank God it's Friday.
Of course, it's the best day we look out for.
Exactly. We have Kehinde Nwandu, the CEO of CKN News here as well. Good morning.
Good morning,
Good to see you.
It's nice to see you, man.
Yeah, great.
Good.
Welcome.
Mediator.
Yeah.
My fellow.
All right, let's start with the Daily Independent. Daily Independent says ISWAP fast gaining ground, recruiting massively. Governor Zulum of Borno State is saying this. ISWAP fast gaining ground, recruiting massively. Warns Boko Haram will be a child's play if ISWAP grows, and asks federal government to reconsider hiring mercenaries to fight insurgents. That's a report coming from from Borno State, and that's on the front page of Daily Independent in the Northeast. Now, the Vanguard newspaper is next, and is focusing on terrorism. ISWAP poised to take over Nigeria. Zulum warns and begs Buhari to hire mercenaries, demands accountability in military spending, and the federal government names 553 as terrorism sponsors, flaunts anti-graft war blessings, and says 45 terrorism sponsors set for trial, blames rising insecurity in rural Nigeria on financial suffocation of local government areas. All right, these are all this on the front page of the Vanguard, talking terrorism there. Now, this day is next. Zulum, governor of Borno State, says we must defeat ISWAP at all costs, else Boko Haram will be child's play. Says it's time to consider hiring mercenaries, canvasses change in security agencies' recruitment process, and government tracks identifies 96 financiers, 123 companies, 33 bureaux de change, others involved in terrorism. Okay, from there let's go to this Nigeria. It's talking about terrorism. ISWAP plots to overrun Nigeria. Zulum warns, begs Buhari to hire mercenaries, demands accountability in military spending. That's this Nigeria. Daily Trust is next. Federal government links 96 persons, 156 companies to terrorism financing. Families of BDC operators protest in Kano. Right. That's Daily Trust. Northeast lost 56,000 of 56.5 billion to insurgency. Zulum is saying. It says Boko Haram is child's play if ISWAP allowed to grow. Right, that's Daily Trust. Daily Times is next. Federal government uncovers 96 financiers of Boko Haram. ISWAP says analysis by the NFIU discovered 424 associates, supporters of terrorism, financiers, involvement of 123 companies, 33 bureau de change companies. All right, Blueprint newspaper. Federal government uncovers 96 Boko Haram sponsors, 424 associates, 123 companies, 33 bureau de change linked with terrorism. We've lost over $6.9 billion to insurgency. Right, all that on the front page of the Blueprint. And Daily Sun is next. Federal government uncovers 96 terrorism financiers, arrests 45. Says 123 companies, 33 bureau de change, 424 associates also involved. NFIU identifies 7.647 trillion naira VAT, all of them hidden from government. Okay, that's Daily Sun. Nigerian Tribune. Federal government links 123 companies, 33 bureau de change to ISWAP, Boko Haram. All right, that's same story there on the Nigerian Tribune. The Punch newspaper now says PDP CSOs lampoon federal government as NFIU uncovers 96 terrorism financiers, 123 firms, 33 bureau de change operators linked to terrorists, federal government alleges. And terror financiers supporters will be revealed in court, says a AGF office. That's the Attorney General of the Federation. With transparency's verdict, Buhari can't boast of fighting graft. That's as PDP is saying this. right? That's the Punch. First News. Terrorism sponsors are protected by top government officials. Terrorism sponsors are protected by top government officials. A retired police commissioner opens Pandora's box, right? All that on the front page of the First News. The Nation newspaper, Buhari rebuffs lobby to shift APC convention date. No venue in party's notification letter to INEC. State chairman inaugurated. All that on the front page of the Nation. The Nation, right? From there, let's go to News Direct. APC state chairman inauguration. Aribushola Amosun Keyamo Lai factions absent. All right. From there, let's go to leadership. APC plunges into deeper crisis as factional groups reject new state ESCOs. All right. That's the leadership newspaper. All right. The Guardian is next. 1 year after NIN SIM policy, insecurity scams fester. Okay. All right. That's that on the front page of the Guardian. And secondly, CNN's ethical challenge brought down its president. You will read this and it will blow your mind. All right, issues of integrity and all of that put to the test and how they handled it. All right, that's the Guardian newspaper. National economy is next. Tough times ahead as petrol subsidy payments rise by 1.5 trillion naira. Nigeria's economy on the brink of collapse. Experts are saying this. All right, gentlemen, let's get into this story. It is no longer news that the federal government has uncovered, you know, those sponsoring or alleged to be sponsoring, okay, we have a lawyer here, alleged to be sponsoring or financing Boko Haram and terrorism in Nigeria. About over 90 of them. Now, let me start with you, CKN. Is this breaking news? Someone will say, well, we've heard this before, but we have it now blowing all over the place.
Mike, there's nothing breaking in the news. There is nothing new. There is nothing the Minister of Information is telling us that we've not had in the past. Don't forget that some months back, about 400 people were mentioned to have been involved in terrorism and sponsorship.
But we didn't see the list.
We didn't see the list. We didn't hear from them. That was the last we heard about it. Then yesterday, we are hearing for another list of 96, and with some alleged collaborators and the rest of them put together. And we still don't know who they are. Yes, by the face of the law, you don't just mention people's name because they are all within the realms of allegations. It's only when you get to court that you'll be able to, if you'll be able to mention them, then establish your facts or evidence. Based on that, you can start with prosecution. But my problem is that this had been pursued for too long. By now, we thought that would have gone probably halfway in the prosecution of all those that were involved. Or those that were named. We saw what happened in Dubai, in UAE, and about 6 or 7 people were picked up, and within weeks they were prosecuted and they are in prison now. So the Nigerians were tired of this rhetoric coming from the federal government and the spokespersons of the government. This is not time for us to be telling, for you to be telling. Even the AGF himself also came out and said something along that line. So by now, I thought that we would have been able to get this done and dusted so that all those involved in this act or that are supporting this act of terrorism are prosecuted and used to be able to propel and as a deterrent to others, but we are not doing that. Then, Mike, the administration of criminal justice in Nigeria takes time. It's not something you do overnight. It's not a 1 day, 2 day, 3, because you are going to get your evidence, gather evidence, and the rest of them for you to prosecute. So that takes long. Then, what am I saying? This government have just barely 1 year to go. It means that they might not even be able to see this through before they leave. And that to me is a big challenge. Are we still going to go the route of the issue of removal of petrol subsidy, the refineries, everything that will now be pushed to the next government? If you understand what I'm trying to say. Yes. So if we are going down route, then we have an issue.
We might push this too. Government
that's what I'm saying.
So if we can't finish, the next person will take over.
It is if another government comes, he might have his priority.
Yeah.
If that is not part of his priority, then it becomes a challenge. But you saw what the governor of Borno State just said. Zulum is not somebody that is just that talks for the fun of it. For him to be able to speak and say some of the things he's saying about terrorism and the art of ISWAP, then he have legitimate reasons and enough evidence at his disposal. So we need to get this done and dusted as quickly as possible.
All right. Now, Sesan, the first news says terrorism sponsors are protected by top government officials. Of course, a lot of analysts have said this before, over and over again. Government know these people. If they want to act, intelligence will have it. Government has everything it takes. The wherewithal, the capacity, the network, the information, the intel, they have all of those. Should we act? How should we act? All of those, the will to act, according to analysts, are saying, they say this is just the challenge. Talk to us from this window.
Mike, I would say categorically that I doubt if this administration have the will to pursue this terrorism of a thing. If you look from every perspective of how they've been handling this issue, I think I'll go with the first news headers by saying they are being protected because if you look at the last information we had of over 400 that was mentioned by the AGF, like CKN said, I expected that by now we would have had certain numbers or names. You know, CKN say you don't mention the names, but at least you take them to the court and let them prove. And even before you come to that conclusion that you have 400 then, and the additional 96 that we are saying, because one thing I tried to read about the news is that the 400 was prune, you know, down to 96, or these 96 is additional.
Fresh list.
Okay, they are fresh list. So that's why we are going
so
to
those 400 may be the associates now.
The associates. But
good.
whether they are going to mention their names, like I said, that the court of law by now should have had the list of those people. Let's invite them, because before you mention the names, you would have carried out your investigation, do all your gathering all together and push them. Like CKN said, we did not hear news from UAE. We just heard the name. They took them and that was it. Straight off. But here, over a year, heard about over 400. Now we are hearing another. I consider this, forgive me, as distraction. Just give them a news that we want to hear. But if the government are sincere with one of their cardinal points of addressing this insecurity, we expect that between now and 7 days, let's have the name of those people that will be taken to court, either from the 5 or 400 or from the fresh 96.
CKN said it is when you get to court that the names can be mentioned.
When they present the name to court, the newspaper will carry that this set of people have been charged to court. So let them charge them to court, and let's hear the name
until the charging to court happens. All right, gentlemen, we'll come back to this. Let's go on a short break. I will be right back. Stay with us on TVC Breakfast. You're watching TVC Breakfast. We are looking at the headlines on Nigerian newspapers today, and most of the papers today talk about the issue of the federal government uncovering 96 financiers of terrorists and terrorism in Nigeria, with over 400 other associates. There are companies involved, there are bureau de change companies involved, and all of that. That's most of the stories on the headlines today. And one of the first news puts it by saying that terrorism sponsors are protected by top government officials. Now, these are all allegations out there, but these are things also that Nigerians say that if government wants to make a change, they know how to, and they know who to hold responsible for this. I have with me Okunade in the studio, as well as Kehinde Nwandu. They have been doing justice to all of this. Now, CKN, the issue of government officials, protecting those who are involved in terrorism, and let's assume, it's an assumption, let's create a scenario where this headline is true the way it is. Would it be difficult, or how difficult would it be to say, okay, even if you are my friend and I don't want you to go to jail, but can I talk to you to stop this?
Within government circle, we have intels within the government circle. Then also, even within the military, they have intels. So they have intelligence gathering, and I can tell you for free that they know those behind this. You cannot tell me the Nigerian military doesn't know, or the police authorities don't know. What probably, and well, based within assumption, allegedly was
of course.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
So,
you have taught us now.
Yes, allegedly. Always use that word.
It's a language.
So allegedly that there are people involved in this. And I can tell you that if the people in government and within the realms of government don't have the political will to be able to prosecute these people, then it becomes a challenge. There's practically nothing that the security agencies can do under the circumstances.
Because theirs is to gather the intel.
Theirs is to gather present. They don't prosecute. Okay? They don't do the prosecute. All they do is gather all the necessary thing and present it to the executive this time around, who will not take it to the judiciary for prosecution. But if those within the power, and it is a fact that so many times, even those in government, even the presidents have come out to say, remember the former president said that we have this thing within our cabinet. Exactly. Even this current government, there have instances where the president has also come to say that there are some people in government that involved in this and that. Let us go. By now, what I expected to have done, despite the fact that most of these allegations, all those that have been, that the government have their names or that ought to have been arrested now. You arrest them, you keep them ready for prosecution. You understand what I mean? But what happens in government circle is that if this is happening and this information is coming, somebody in government will just tip you off. Oh boy, your name don't enter this thing. Find your way. If you want waka waka, if you understand what I'm saying, that in itself does, because I don't know why this thing continued to. At the point we say it was political. At another point we say it was people in the opposition. I don't know what we're going to call it now. But the fact is that but that is not only within government. But Mike, let me also tell you that even within the military itself, even within the security agencies, we have people that are also supporting this because they know what they benefit from it. There are instances where we see soldiers trying to ferry guns, trying to
some have been arrested.
Some of them have been arrested. They have some of these terrorists also have their own people inside within the military, and that in itself becomes a challenge as a source. So what I feel is that the government should be very, very open and give Nigerians build some level of trust within Nigeria, so that anytime they mention this, we know that they are very serious. But the way they are going about it, they have not shown any level of seriousness.
It's all right. Sesan, the Governor Zulum, Babagana Zulum of Borno State is raising alarm, and he's saying that Boko Haram have caused devastation. But what ISWAP is doing, if we don't act fast, Boko Haram will be a child's play. How concerned should we be now? Because no Nigerian will want to have the Boko Haram days or anything worse than that back again.
If you look at the personality of Zulum, he's a man of few words. He hardly speaks. He's at the middle of this issue of insecurity, and most often than not, what I hear from him, his projection is about his struggle for development of the area, despite the challenges they are faced with. Hardly do I hear of him complaining or talking so much about these terrorists, because he feels that they are being handled, but at the same time, on the other hand, he feels there must be development. But for him to have come out, he has his information. And the way our government handle issues are always pathetic. Remember how this Boko Haram started. It was an act of, no, there is nothing is happening. It's something that would die a natural death. And now it has escalated to a situation where it has become a monster that we cannot even unravel or even curtail any longer. I feel if the government is sincere with themselves, this information from Governor Zulum should be given ultimate attention, because ISWAP is not Boko Haram. They are well sophisticated, and we've had instances of where they have to look at what happened in Afghanistan and some other countries where these things are faced with. I want to appeal to the government that this is not where you handle things with kids' gloves. If we need to, as he has said, for him to have come out to say higher machinery before now, Zulum has not mentioned that. And he has considered that this is not the local one, because if we are battling the local one and we cannot, we know the havoc ISWAP costs wherever they take charge of. And we must nip it at the bud. Now that he's having those things, because he said that there is mass recruitment. So if they are recruiting them, the level of poverty at which people in this area are experiencing is enough for these guys to recruit those guys, because they don't just recruit them for fun. They give them enough, make them comfortable. What your government cannot do will do for you. And these are areas where they use it to attract them and get them to this. And once you are able to mobilize those people to themselves, it becomes an issue. So I feel government should take this. Initially, we are saying that this is a problem we can solve ourselves. But if we cannot handle even Boko Haram at our level with the Tucano jet and everything we've had, ISWAP is not something we'll handle with kid gloves. So they should attend promptly to the yearning of Governor Zulum, so that we will not have issue. You know, we started with Northeast, it moved to Northwest. Now every part of the nation is having this attack of challenge here, insecurity here and there. Let's nip it at the bud. Zulum, person that I know, is a man of few words, but when he speaks, he has every information.
So he should be taken seriously. Whatever he says should be taken seriously.
Very, very seriously.
All right, now, CKN, we're wrapping up now just in a minute. Nigerian government and officials, governors have had divergent opinions regarding the hiring of mercenaries, because from the intelligence unit, there are different implications to hiring mercenaries, because they are contractors. They are not actual state operators. They are contractors, and contractors could have any kind of interest. And if you're hiring them, there is some level of space you give them to operate within your region, which could metamorphose into different things. All of those all of those things are looked at. What do you think about this, though?
Mike, anywhere, anyhow. The job is, normally they say in my place that whoever sees the snake should kill it. So you no need to add whether a man kill him or woman kill him. So whichever way we can be able to handle this, let us handle it. It's not something you come to public TV to start telling people we're hiring. There are countries that there's a way they go about these things.
Silently.
Yes, silently.
Behind
the scene, and the job is done. There are so many countries in the world where you have these people that can be able to help out. They're in South Africa, they're in Israel. Israelis do this a lot.
Yeah, Israel.
You know the Israelis. They do this a lot. You pay them, they get it done.
Israel does a great job.
So I'm not going to mention countries, but for Zulum to have said that, he has seen the capacity of our security agencies that this might be just too much for them to handle. Right. But the danger, as you mentioned, is that it also has its disadvantages. There have been instances where mercenaries have come in to be able to destabilize countries, topple governments, and the rest of them. So we should handle this within the realm of specifics on what they need to do, if it's necessary for us. But definitely the Nigerian army and security agency will not agree to that. They will always tell you that we have the capacity, but have them be able to do enough? I don't think we'll be able to do that.
All right, we have to leave you here now. Kehinde Nwandu, thank you very much for coming on the program. We pray for Nigeria, and we pray that there's some action soon to put all of these things behind.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Sesan Okunade, thank you very much for coming.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. And thank God it's Friday. Thank you.
Have a nice weekend.
I was waiting for that.
Have a nice weekend.
All right.